Coming up on this week's Course of Life podcast, we start with the absolute luckiest bounce in the history of the game of golf, plus an American wins big overseas. And I recap my trip to the Round Rock Baseball Classic and what's going on in our lives and a lot of things that we're tuned into regarding awards and TV and movies. Lots of new stuff in the content world. And this week's guest, another content creator. He is the Country Club comic. That's right. I met him on the PGA show floor. Anton has a fascinating background in both caddying and comedy. And when we always end with food, it's a seasonal dessert treat and a tour of Savannah. All of it coming your way on a jam-packed Course of Life podcast that starts right now.
Hello, interwebs, and welcome to Course of Life. I'm Michael, he's Alex. And Alex, they were down in Mexico for the Mexico Open at Vidanta World, and it went to a 2-hole playoff.
Yep.
And it was just a normal, everyday drive into the woods that bounced off a tree and came back into the first cut of the rough and sat up, that gave Brian Campbell the chance to justify not putting the clubs away last year after battling injuries and never living up to the potential we all thought he would when he came into the game professionally in the 2010s. And now he is a winner on the PGA Tour at Vidanta.
What a wild finish for, a guy like you profiled there, has had a crazy whirlwind pro career. Again, like Campbell, you see Campbell on the leaderboard, you might think it's Chad Campbell. If you're an older golf fan, this is a name that a lot of people do not have on their radar at all. And for good reason. He hadn't really come close on the PGA Tour. He had a handful of runner-up finishes on the Korn Ferry Tour. So this was, for all intents and purposes, a no-name grinder, just trying to break through and have his moment. And on the second playoff hole, he hit a drive that should have gone 20, 30 yards out of bounds. And you and I have all been in that scenario. Mike, we all know that ball goes out of bounds 100 times out of 100 for us. Yep. And we're dropping one up there illegally against the rules of golf, hitting 3 and still making a double or triple bogey anyways, because it doesn't even matter and we stink. But for Brian Campbell, the ball comes careening out of the woods of what would have been an out of bounds tee shot and a penalty and falls fortuitously back in the rough, allowing him to make birdie for the win. The luckiest bounce I've ever seen in the history of golf.
It was a very lucky bounce. I have to say, too, though, that you have to say that the ball in the bunker for Aldrich Potgeiter, this really powerful rookie, one of the longest on tour already this year, probably sunk his chances of really getting it. But also, Potgeiter then missed his birdie putt, his short birdie putt. So this became a birdie putt off at the end when both of them really should have had better opportunity. Potgeiter should have had this in the bag, really.
I know they had short putts there in the second playoff hole, and he just pulled his to the left. And by the way, you're doing the exact same thing with his name that I was doing, because his name looks like Poltergeist, the movie. And his name, I think it's like Potgeiter or Potgeiter. But you're right, it looks just like Poltergeist. And I was calling him Poltergeister for the first few times I saw him on the leaderboard. But it is indeed Aldrich Potgeiter, the 20-year-old that lost in the playoff.
My apologies to Aldrich.
It's okay. He's on a great path. The guy's 20 years old. He can't even get into a bar and buy a drink, but he's already finishing runner-up on the PGA Tour. So it's a great path ahead for the young South African. But shout out to Brian Campbell for delivering maybe one of the luckiest breaks ever. But shout out to him, again, for taking advantage of it in the moment, making the birdie. And you mentioned before we hopped on, I think his girlfriend may have been more excited than he was to win.
She looked it. I mean, I think you think that maybe after 187 tries to win on tour, you finally get your victory. Your partner's going to be pretty excited with, of course, the big payout. You're exempt on tour through 2027. You're into the Masters, the Players. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
She had the full package, Michael. She had the fall to your knees and wail crying after the final putt. She lost her sunglasses as she jumped to congratulate him. They've got the still photos of them like ugly cry celebrating. It was quite a beautifully hilarious and awesome moment for them celebrating that life-changing moment. So congrats to Brian Campbell.
Was indeed. Speaking of the Players, there's this rumor, Alex, that that Liv may have guys in the field in a couple weeks?
Man, I don't know. We hear all sorts of weird stuff week to week, so we obviously just got to keep up with the Joneses and see what's flying across our timelines right now. We hear that the negotiations, the talks are revving up and revving up.
They were back in the White House again.
We saw another Tiger, Adam Scott, Jay Monahan White House visit. It's so funny how this is all like playing directly into like the world news, but here we are, right? And so it seems like we are picking up momentum in terms of how many talks are happening, whether that means the finish line is near. Is it within a week or two? If so, then yeah, some of these live players are going to kind of try to scramble to get into the Sawgrass field, which is a very funny thought. But we have seen the PGA Tour move very swiftly in the last few years with all sorts of policies, ranging from COVID policies to live PGA Tour policies to exemption policies. They're not afraid to move fast in this day and age. So the possibility is still there.
I wonder though, any deal I would think has to be approved by the players. So even if they come out with a deal in the next 2 weeks, the players are going to take their time.
It's tight. I mean, we're literally, we're at that 14-day mark to guys being at the Players' Championship.
That's true.
So
it's not going to happen. It'd be interesting if it was, but it's not going to happen.
That's the latest buzz in the street. So we'll see if anything comes of that next week.
Over in Thailand, the LPGA kicked off their Asian swing, and you would think, Alex, that if you had a 5-shot lead going into Sunday's final round and you shot a 65, you would just cruise to victory. Right?
That's a thought. Yeah.
That's a thought. And while Angel Yin did win and held on for the win, she only ended up winning by 1 as Aiki Iwai of Japan shot a 61 to come within 1.
Crazy low. Wow.
Yeah.
Dang, yeah, and I know Yin had kind of the lead held forever, but Iwai was just kept knocking on the door. This was going late into Saturday night, and I watched the finish Sunday morning. So shout out to the resilience from Angel Yin, a player who had had some difficulty in recent tries in contention getting it done on the final holes. So it's good to see her get over that hump with win number 2, 28 under par. Like we say, time and time again, we see jaw-droppingly low scores on the LPGA Tour for 4-round events. And that's another example right there. So shout out the American Angel Yin getting it done in Thailand.
Yep. They stay in Asia for a few more weeks. The PGA Tour, meanwhile, heads to Florida to start their Florida swing. They're at the Cognizant Classic, formerly known as the HUD Classic. They're at PGA National.
Yeah, this is one of those courses that like everyone hates. It's always really difficult and windy from what I remember. So.
Yeah, it is. But it really, this is just the final tune-up before the Puerto Rico Open in 2 weeks, because that's what everyone is really gearing up for.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Is the Puerto Rico Open. Opposite the Puerto Rico Open, there's this little known event called the Arnold Palmer Invitational that Scotty Scheffler won last year. I don't know if you've heard of that one, but so really last tune-up for those guys that maybe are trying to get into the Arnold Palmer and also get into the Players, which is 2 weeks away.
Yeah, Florida swing. So we got a lot of palm tree golf now. We're always checking the breeze on days like this when you're watching golf, because as you know, you can get one of those nice, serene Florida days when there is just not a drop of wind, and it's the ideal conditions to play the game of golf on flat surfaces in that state.
Yep.
Or you can get an extremely gusty, breezy day off the coastal winds, which will ruin your entire day on the course.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. But this is that time of year when you should really start paying attention to what's going on in the world of golf, because we are under 2 months away from the Masters.
Yes, a lot of countdowns on social media.
Yeah.
Maybe too many. I think there's too many people counting down how many days away we are to the Masters, or my algorithm is hitting correctly because I'm a golf nerd. But regardless, it is that season.
It is indeed. Alex, I know you were out and about in the Austin area this weekend and enjoying some college baseball and that
also baseball season too.
Loud noise of an aluminum bat.
Yes, that's right. I wasn't mentally ready for that. I kind of forgot about that. So this is the Karbach Round Rock Classic event put on by Peak Events. Basically kind of one of those awesome round robin college tournaments that you see in all sorts of different college basketball events, college baseball teams. The four gathered this past weekend were Minnesota, Virginia, Oregon State, and Oklahoma. So pretty good powerhouse schools all gathering in Central Texas to put on a showcase of the best college baseball outside of Omaha, where the final four eventually get to in the College World Series. It was absolutely freezing Saturday, 40 degrees and rainy. So I apologize to all the schools visiting, but it got much nicer on Sunday afternoon, and I got to hear the crack of the aluminum bat. Awesome up close scenes, front row behind the dugout. You know what, Michael? We forget about the actual volume and the camaraderie of the baseball dugout, because not many people get to actually see the dugout when you go to a game. But I think for people who haven't seen that, definitely go to a college baseball game, because it's a great way to get up close to the action and really see baseball up close.
Yeah. It's the minor league baseball and college games are great ways to really experience the game in its maybe most pure form.
Yep.
Because it's not about the money.
Indeed. Now you could see the camaraderie between the bros out there, the home run cheers and the celebrations and the handshakes between the players. It was awesome to see. Minnesota laid a big one Sunday afternoon on Oregon State, and the player of the game was Josh Fitzgerald. And I got to catch up with Josh Fitzgerald, aka Fitzy, and it's on my Instagram at Course of Life Alex. You can check out that interview there. Very cool to check out college baseball in the flesh, though. Definitely probably going to get to a University of Texas baseball game sometime this spring. And a nice reminder that it is spring training season. So all that's around the corner. We'll talk some MLB a little bit later on in the podcast as well.
We will indeed. Let's do a little tuned in and share what else we're tuning into outside of the world of sports. Alex, I got to be honest, this past week, I was just kind of feeling really anxious with this feeling of existential dread about the fall of the American empire, capitalism, and democracy.
Oh yeah, you're tuned into that. Yeah, I'm not doing those channels right now. Yeah, I got those channels on embargo. I'll give you like a Jeopardy category board here of tuned in stuff, and I'll let you pick. So we've got concert, we got movies, we got TV, we got award show, and we got documentary. Where do you want to start here?
Well, Alex, I'll take movies for 500.
Okay. All right, we'll start movie. I went to the theater last week and saw an old movie. The Flix Brewhouse Theater, sometimes they do showings of like old throwback movies. So it was the 25th anniversary of Love and Basketball, Michael. Do you remember that one at all?
Honestly,
the year 2000, Omar Epps, Sanar Lathan, obviously romantic comedy about basketball. Great story about a high school prospect and his love with a girl next door as they grow up together playing the game of basketball. Lots of nice throwback vibes. And it was cool to watch an older movie in a modernized theater and get that nostalgia of the old music playing throughout the soundtrack. So highly suggest maybe getting to your local theater if they do a throwback showing of a movie you like. Definitely an experience I'll take in again for sure. So that was the movies. What do we got next year? Concert, TV, award, or documentary?
I'll take TV for 200, Alex.
White Lotus season 3, a little creepy. I don't know. Have you watched any White Lotus at all?
I have seen the first episode of White Lotus of the first season.
So there's
and it was just kind of like, I don't know if I want to keep watching this or not. It's like I might be willing to, but I don't know. This seems weird.
The only thing I really harp on is there's just weird kind of adjacently incestual vibe going on with the family with the 3 kids. If you remember them from season 1, from episode 1 of season 3. So that's going to turn into something more and very weird. I don't know if I'm ready for where that plot goes. So that's the main takeaway right now, but I'll be cautiously watching White Lotus season 3 as it goes on.
Okay.
And award show, I'll go next there. The SAG Awards. I know you caught glimpses of that. Obviously, a precursor to the Oscars. Big speech from Timothée Chalamet, kind of going with the athletic route, saying, I want to be one of the GOATs and one of the all-time greats. Really putting his legacy out there on the line. Him winning, of course, for his portrayal of Bob Dylan in that movie, A Clean Up Unknown.
Yeah, it's starting to become really clear who's the true favorites for the Oscars. Looks like it's going to be Brutalist. Is that one of those big favorites? So if you got 4 or 5, 6 hours to sit down and watch a movie, I hear that Brutalist is pretty good.
That sounds brutal, quite literally. And last two, my concert is making my debut at the Vegas Sphere, Michael.
Oh,
Backstreet Boys, July 13th. Pop 2K memories at the Las Vegas. You know how obsessed we are with the Backstreet Boys. So,
my God,
had to jump at the opportunity.
Where are the
level,
seats?
Top level, full panorama view of the whole thing. Can't wait.
I mean, I feel like there probably isn't a bad seat in the Sphere.
And my thing, I figured if I was going to go to the Sphere, I want to just go to like a musical act that I like am already know and familiar with. So I don't really have to focus on them down on the stage like a million miles away. I just want to purely focus on the screen display. So that's exactly what we're doing in July. So the Sphere debut is happening. Wow. And then the documentary debut was The Americas, narrated by Tom Hanks. Have you heard about this at all?
I think I saw an ad for it. Was it on NBC, right? Or something like that?
Really awesome, basically revved up version of Planet Earth that debuted on NBC this past Sunday. You would just love the camera work. That's what you would be asphyxiated on. They started with the Atlantic
Nature
Coach.
Docs are made for that. They're just made for over-the-top cinematography.
Oh, yeah. It was amazing. Episode 1 was the Atlantic Coast. So they started with wild horses out in the Outer Bank beaches of North Carolina, not too far from you. They went up to the Chesapeake Bay, see the action there. And obviously the fall foliage of New England. You got to close with that if you're talking about the Atlantic Coast. Right?
I do miss that.
It's beautiful. And they did the fast action time lapse of the overhead drone shot of leaves like turning from green to orange in like a second and a half. Whew, man. Yeah. Couple of money shots. So shout out to the Americas for the amazing camera work and cinematography on NBC.
All right, let's get to the turn and this week's guest. This guy's got an interesting career path that took him from caddying at the nicest country clubs to performing at them as a comedian. And Alex, from what I remember, you told me before you talked to him at the PGA show that he said we were really a comedy podcast.
Yeah, and you're glowing ever since you heard this compliment. You know, it's like we'll get occasional nods for like what we're doing or like something that someone heard or something that's, caught their eye. But that the funny comment really stuck with you. You appreciate being funny deep down, don't you?
I mean, look, I know I'm better than everyone else in every way, yes. And having someone in the comedy sphere just confirm what I already know, that I'm funnier than everyone else, is just really, really warms my heart.
Yeah, really he's funny and he's humble too. Hear that, people out there? Very, very humble guy out here. To my counterpart co-hosting. Let's get right to it. It's the country club comedian, Anton. All right, next up on the course of life is Anton. You know him as the country club comic, a man that has some fascinating experiences in the game at some unique venues in the game as well, too. How you doing, Zach?
I'm doing well. What a glorious day here at the PGA show, huh?
Yeah, what's your background with the PGA show? Have you been to a bunch of these new or old hat to you? Or?
This is actually my second year, and the reason why I'm here, I do a seminar. It's called Entertaining Your Membership at Any Golf Event Hollywood Style. I did this seminar last year, and this year it was complete chaos because my cameraman was filming me. He slipped, he hit his head on a table, passed out, came to. It was unbelievable. It was chaos.
This was not part of the act.
This was not part of the act, but it just gives you an example of how to deal with these kinds of things. And I talk about that in my seminar.
Yeah,
okay?
That's funny. I work at a club. You have club experiences. So you know that there are slip fall moments at clubs that happen all the time that change a night in a moment.
So anyway, there's about 20 minutes of lag time, and I'm looking around trying to figure out like what to do. So I'm talking to the audience. I'm actually kind of doing pieces of my act while I'm walking around trying to calm everybody down. Thankfully, the guy's okay. I jump back on the saddle, finish the seminar, but let's just say there's always excitement at a country club comic show.
That's right. And your background is fascinating in terms of getting into the game via caddying. Tell me a little bit about your first and earliest caddying experiences, which actually bring you back to Wilmette Country Club, which I believe is in the Chicagoland area. Is that correct?
It's in Wilmette, Illinois. It's Westmoreland Country Club. And I started caddying when I was 12 years old. I didn't know anything about golf. Okay. And when I was 14 years old, my father passed away. My mom said to me, she said, the only way you will ever go to college is if you win a scholarship. So I did. I was very fortunate.
Yeah, that's a very narrow path, too.
Yeah. I won the Evans Scholarship to Indiana University.
Very cool.
And my second semester junior year, I started doing stand-up on campus and switched my major over. And then in 2016, make a long story short, that's where I kind of moved all of my act to strictly golf and country clubs. But getting back to your question, golf has changed.
Yeah.
The membership has changed, especially when I was caddying when I was 12 years old. I used to go out there at Westmoreland Country Club with old man Thorson. It was just me and him, 7 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, that classic Bushwood Country Club
It's just me and him.
Yeah.
8:30, we get to the turn. It's just me and him. Go in the clubhouse, get me a double doers on the rocks. Come back out. I hand him that. We go play. He's done about 9:30, 10 o'clock. What are you doing today, Mr. Thorson? Nothing. I'm just going home. Just play golf, go home. That's what country
People
club
would
life.
kill for that round time, by the way. Great pace of play there.
Oh, absolutely, because the old man Thorson would go earlier. And
amazing how it's evolved.
It's now meeting those people at Westmoreland Country Club. I ended up having them refer me as the Evans Scholarship. And I'll tell you what, the Evans Scholarship is one of the greatest programs ever. It's really well known in the Midwest, parts of the East Coast. It's not really known on the West Coast, but they are starting to get some traction on it. That scholarship definitely changed my life and put me on the path as the country club comic.
Fascinating. And so obviously those stories continued and started to continue evolving your comedy act.
Right.
Then out on the West Coast in Los Angeles as well. I'm sure that only revved up the amount of country club content that you had on a daily basis.
So, I take my experiences from my act where I've caddied for movie stars, celebrities, etc. out on the West Coast. I've been very fortunate where I got one of my big breaks, as you may, at Bel Air Country Club. And, just taking the experiences there and putting a spin on it in a very positive manner. I mean, and also having fun with it. So in my act,
People
I do
love that juice who are golfers, and they love to hear the behind the scenes of stories there.
There's some behind the scenes stuff, but again, it's always done in a very tasteful way. Also, it's audience participation.
Yes, I've seen that. Yes,
I do a bit in my act where I go, ladies, I can tell by your golf swing what kind of man you're married to. So a female golfer comes up, she swings a club, and then I make fun of her husband.
Yeah.
So
Classic roast.
The act, again, PG-13, soft R. I don't talk about politics or religion. If you want to see some clips, go to countryclubcomic.com
Cool.
and check out the clips. And any golf event, member guest, invitational, fundraiser, I can do it, either do the act or MC it. So that's a service along with the seminar. And hopefully the next seminar I do, some guy won't fall and hit his head on the table. Right.
Small goals, right? So we're here with the Country Club Comic. So let's get into some stories of some moments that happen along the golf day experience. I know this will bring up some memories from you with your experience in the game. And the first thing I want to touch on is the act of losing patience on the golf course. You've been out there as a caddy for a long time. So tell me about the biggest fit you've seen thrown on the golf course from a player.
The biggest fits usually happen, obviously, with slow play.
Okay.
And I've seen golfers, I've been out there that I've caddied for. The worst time to be a golf course caddy is basically the day after a major. Because the guys you're caddying for are trying to replicate the same irons they're going to be like they think the amateur golfer that I caddy for thinks he can actually hit a 5-iron 225, 230 yards. So they try those shots and it's Shank City. That's the big problem, and that's where I, as a caddy, lose patience. But obviously it's slow play. Yeah. And then you also got, you have somebody in the group that's always going to rubberneck you. He's talking before your shot, after your shot. There's so many little things. If something very little goes wrong in golf, it derails everything. And it's almost just like comedy. Yeah. If something goes off, like if a microphone blows out, the energy in the room just dies. Or if some guy passes out or hits his head on the table, the energy just dies. And you just got to just pick yourself up.
Roll with the punches.
And roll with the punches. Yeah. You can't cry about it because nobody cares. Nobody cares.
One fun moment where people do care too much, I'm sure you've seen something in a country club setting as a caddy, is the act of maybe fudging or cheating or sandbagging? Is there ever any questionable moment you've seen from a player on the golf course that stands out to you?
You know what? I haven't done any of that. But
they never make you an ally if they're moving their ball around or something like that.
You know what? I'm to the creed where I don't do that. That's not my thing. But I do this one bit in my act where I go, tonight at this country club, I want to identify the club sandbagger, the club drunk, and the club corrupt hedge fund guy.
Please do.
So then I go around the room and we get the sandbagger out of the way at that particular club that I'm caddying for. So no, I refuse to participate in malfeasance on the golf course.
He's got some honor.
You got to do it. You got to do it. I mean, I will not do that. I will not participate in that.
This is my one opportunity. I'm going to let you do a name drop if you choose to. How about like best foursome or most unique or most fascinating person or personality that people might know that you caddy for?
I would say one of the two great people, they fall in the same category, are the golf announcers that I've met and I've caddied for. Jim Nance and Al Michaels. Those two guys are just a complete sweetheart of guys.
Those are the voices of our generation.
Oh, well, yeah.
Fans.
And, you know, being able to meet them and talk to them and do what I'm doing is quite the honor. They're such great guys. Another fun guy that I met just recently was Rich Bean.
Oh, he's an Austin, Texas resident, just like I am.
Yeah.
He's in Central Texas.
He's a super fun guy. I actually met him years ago, and then a mutual friend reintroduced us, and he's such a great guy. And I would say those...
Yeah, Jim Nance.
Nance and the Al Michaels, the golf community. Eddie Mearns would be another one. He was one of the guys that when I got to start caddying, I met him at Bel Air Country Club, and he was just an absolutely terrific guy. And God bless him, he just passed away in November. You know, when you talk about dream foursomes and stuff like that, I like to keep it more like golf-related dream foursomes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Guys who live on the course.
Yeah. That's kind of my...
Nance and Michaels, you could pick their brain for days.
Yeah,
so that's a good group to have.
They're two awesome guys, both of those guys, and Rich also.
Nice. Again, our Anton here, the Country Club Comic joining. Be sure to follow him at Country Club Comic on IG as well too. Let's just get into some fun random questions as well too. Greatest shot you've seen on the golf course? Could be you or someone you caddy for. Have you seen an ace, a double eagle, an eagle from the fairway?
I've seen an ace as a caddy on a blind. Those blind shots where you just see it going towards hole. You're like, there's that gut feeling inside
and so you're all walking up.
And you're walking up, and I'm like, that's in the hole. That's in the hole. You get there, and it's in the hole.
I haven't had that feeling yet in my life.
You know what? I get that feeling very rarely when I play golf, but when I'm on stage and everything is kind of working and clicking, you kind of have that spider senses of like what is going to unravel next. It's the creepiest feeling.
Interesting. Yeah, I get it.
And it's really hard to explain, but yeah, what you just know when you hit that shot, you know it's great. I hit a 5-iron at Rancho in Los Angeles, Rancho Park. I hit the cleanest 5-iron I have ever hit, and it was about 6-8 inches from the hole.
Good, I'm glad.
And then again, I try to replicate the shot. What happens? Shank City. You know the deal.
That's the beauty of the game is you can also clean another 5-iron, and it won't be 8 inches from the hole. It'll be 40 feet left. It'll be just for some reason.
So 80 feet left.
Yeah, crazy game indeed. All right, let's get to some food questions because we love wrapping with food here on the Course of Life. Putting you completely on the spot. I know you've got some connection to Naples, Florida. I've spent a lot of time in Naples as well. What's your favorite dinner or restaurant in Naples, Florida to go out to eat?
I was staying at the AC Hotel, and they have a couple of restaurants there. There was an Italian restaurant because the AC Hotel is near downtown. I believe it's on 5th Street. There's a restaurant I can't remember the name. It's an Italian restaurant. It's all the way at the end, right as you hit the beach.
Down towards the water there.
Down towards the water. I forgot the name, but I had a
look
great...
out for Italian in the Fifth Ave area.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. They got great Italian on Fifth Avenue there. It's in that area, from what I understand, has really come along the past 10 years.
Oh yeah, I just went to South Third this past time when I was staying at my family's place on Marco Island.
Yeah,
and I love just hanging out, and walking through the shops there. It's a very unique portion of Southwest Florida that a lot of people don't get to see.
So getting to the punchline of what you're saying is, I would say the Italian restaurants in that area are all phenomenal.
Yeah. Another announcer guy in Naples who raised by the Italian restaurants that I've had on the show is Joe Tessitore.
Oh yeah, I've heard the name. I've never.
He does college football. He does a lot of boxing.
Yeah. He's in that area. I remember that name. I never had a chance to run into him. Naples has got some phenomenal clubs. I did a show at Esplanade Golf and Country Club.
Nice.
And it was crazy because the day I left was January 7th, and that whole thing with the fires happened in Los Angeles. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, my place is going to burn down. I'm going to be doing a show in Naples. But thankfully, I was just outside of the evacuation zone. And, I get back, and, you hear these horror stories that a couple friends lost. It's just a complete
lucky
mess.
To be as fortunate as you were, for sure.
I was very fortunate. I was very lucky. And I've reached out to a couple of people about, having my place while I'm gone, because I'm going to be gone traveling, and they can use it if they need a launching pad, etc. So I'm just glad nobody I knew died.
Yeah, that's the priority in life.
That's the priority right there.
Just keep chugging, just keep living, indeed. One thing from your origin I did want to check on is your Illinois background. There's a lot of debate regarding pizza in Illinois. My wife's family's from there, and I was told to know that deep dish was the way to go, but I'm now learning that there's a thin crust Illinois pizza that's a lot more popular outside the city of Chicago than Chicago's itself. But what's your preference on pizza?
Okay, so I'm a Giordano's Malnati kind of guy.
Yep.
But there is a thin slice pizza that I've been going to since I was a kid. It's called La Rosa Pizza.
Noted.
It's right on Central and Crawford, and they make great thin crust pizza, and that's what I get from there. So if you want to try that, again, that's a suburbs of Chicago. It's called La Rosa. I believe they have a store or a restaurant in. It's going to be on the border of Skokie and Evanston, and then they also have one in Chicago. But the one that I'm talking about is more on the North Shore and Skokie. The one I used to go to as a kid.
You naming it that fast means it's a good recommendation for sure for anyone who's going to be in the Chicagoland.
Is that like the Naples, the reference in your head? You're like, I just said anything Italian because I don't remember the Italian, but
we'll get that title eventually.
We'll get that title, yeah. Footnote it.
We'll wrap with our 19th hole question, which is pretty simple. You get into the clubhouse after a day on the course. What's your go-to order, your favorite meal and drink to have at the 19th hole?
19th hole, a double Tito's and soda.
There you go. Tito's vodka. Shout out Austin, Texas.
Just absolutely. So I got to have some alcohol after I drink or after I play around.
Yep.
But you know what the thing is? So you got to balance it out in terms of the alcohol. And
what's the meal going with the double Tito's? What are you having with it?
It's going to be just nachos. So I have a joke about that I do in my act. It's the golf breathalyzer joke. So if you're dealing with drunks that play golf and they get drunk on the golf course, it's a very simple thing you do. And I'm going to showcase this at the PGA show next year. Put a breathalyzer on all the golf carts before the round. So if the guy you're playing with is a complete drunk, he blows a .25, he gets 25 shots. He blows a .15, he gets 15 shots. That's how you can work out this handicap system for drunks. Isn't that a great invention?
Wow, I'm running the numbers right now, and that actually calculates perfectly. That does check out for me.
That does. Let's go to the PGA floor and we're going to test that. At happy hour.
I love that. All right, Anton, the Country Club comic. Thanks for hopping on the course of life, and we'll see you down the road. Best of luck with your content as well.
Thank you for having me.
You are never too busy for wholesome meals with HelloFresh. With 50 weekly recipes, customizable to your preferences, you can skip the grocery store and still make easy, affordable meals delivered to your door. For even faster options, try 15-minute meals, prep and bake options, or ready-made meals. Get a free high-protein item for life and up to 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/HelloFresh10free. One per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan.
Course of Life podcast is brought to you by Zencastr. We've been using Zencastr here since almost the very beginning as how Alex and I record this podcast from hundreds of miles away. And it provides us with great quality audio that works every time. And it's something that makes Course of Life what it is and has kept us being able to make consistent episodes every week. And now it's super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. You log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. You record studio quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. You feel a sense of zen, knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. And have you ever wondered what you actually sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. Head on over to zencastr.com/pricing and use our promo code CourseOfLife to get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all of your podcasting and content needs. Again, that's zencastr.com/pricing and our promo code CourseOfLife. Zencastr, it's time to share your story.
You are never too busy for wholesome meals with HelloFresh. With 50 weekly recipes, customizable to your preferences, you can skip the grocery store and still make easy, affordable meals delivered to your door. For even faster options, try 15-minute meals, prep and bake options, or ready-made meals. Get a free high-protein item for life and up to 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/HelloFresh10free. One per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan.
We're back. Great chat there with our lots of material to make fun of when you go to a country club.
Oh, yeah.
And glad to see he's finding the humor and sharing that with everyone at a country club. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, it's cool. It's awesome to see he's gone from Florida to Canada since we last spoke. So he stays busy traveling. And yeah, you know, country clubs are interesting places. They're not all created equal as well, too.
No.
I've seen and you've seen now a wide range of what golf clubs and country clubs can look like and act like and be like. So it's always a very interesting audience and situation you're entering. So he navigates it very well. Again, follow the Country Club comic and then check him out if you're looking to book him for a show of your own as well, too.
And if you like that interview plus everything else we do here on this podcast, make sure you punch that subscribe button on the podcast app you're using right now. Leave us a rating. Tell us we're funny. It'll really mean a lot to us. Follow us on Instagram, COL Podcast. Alex is at Course of Life. Alex, I'm at MWRINC. If you don't already, we do have a website, courseoflifepodcast.com.
Yes, sir.
And on there, you can subscribe to to get email alerts when we post new podcasts. So you can just see it come into your email box. So you know it's ready to go.
That's convenient.
Makes life really easy. So certainly check us out there. We're also on YouTube, Course of Life Podcast on YouTube as well. You can watch, quote unquote, our podcasts. There's nothing to see, but you can listen while you watch a still image.
Yeah, people like using YouTube just kind of during the day. It's nice to have like a background tab if you're just kind of like vibing and doing some steady work or a second screen. So throw us on there as well, too.
Yeah, so there you are. All right, let's get into the back nine and let's talk some football because, Alex, I have had a lot of questions bottling up inside me about Bill Belichick and his girlfriend.
Yes.
Or should I say his granddaughter?
Oh, quick burn right off the bat. Yeah. So Bill Belichick, just to refresh, the last time we brought him up on the podcast, he had signed on to be the coach of UNC football.
Yes.
We're very uncertain as to what this is going to look like because we went through the details saying, there's a couple buyouts where he could like sneaky exit the situation if he finds a better NFL offer. And we still think that's out there, but he's kind of leaning into the whole Chapel Hill life. He's spent a lot of time down there, and he's also gone very public with a new relationship. But it isn't really as new as the internet is finding out. It's Jordan Isabella is her name. Now, Bill Belichick is at least 70 years old. I think he's 72, 73 years old at this point. And yeah, Michael Jordan is 24, 25 at oldest. So obviously the age difference is going to bring up a lot of questions like, what do you think they talk about at dinner, the two of them? Right? What are those conversations like?
I have a lot of questions that I don't think I want to bring up on this podcast. And what do they talk about? What do they do for fun? I mean,
this is literally like a sorority girl vibe who wears a hooded sweatshirt, like over her back, but not over her shoulders. Like she's like that young. Like she's in a completely different generation, multiple generations removed from the world of Bill Belichick.
He's a baby boomer and she's Gen Z.
Is he just like laying out 3-4 defensive formations for her and showing her why the Mike linebacker is moving to the right as they fall off of zone into a different, like, is she just sitting there and just like taking that as conversation? Wow.
I mean, is
these
she
walls
there?
Could talk.
Is she there for the money?
No, that could not possibly be it. Well, how dare you suggest that?
Because like I don't know, and I'm not. I mean, everyone finds love in their own way, and everyone's relationship is unique. And I'm not trying to say that this relationship is not real. But
and the weird
serious question,
the weird little wrinkle that's come out recently is it sounds like kind of she's now like his de facto like manager too. So like if you want to communicate or you want to book Bill Belichick, you go through her now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
so we're going to watch that relationship.
Well, it sounds like then maybe we have a better chance of getting Bill Belichick on the podcast then, because if we were to go through her, she's more tech savvy. She might be more with it. And
Jordan, forget everything we said. We have an audience on the rise, and we are a football focused podcast that would love to hear from your new beau.
And one of our hosts loves Bill Belichick and the Patriots to no end, and the other one just loves how his Giants beat Bill Belichick and the Patriots twice in the Super Bowl. So
there it is. New York versus Boston, the fabric of it all.
All right, let's talk a little baseball. It's spring training. Games are happening. Wooden bats are cracking, not nearly as loud as those metal ones.
Yep.
And the New York Yankees can grow a beard.
Wow. This was a huge landmark story that dropped on Friday. The Yankees' almost 50-year-old policy vehemently prohibiting any sort of facial hair for any Yankees players. I don't know if really people realize this. That Yankees players for almost 50 years were vehemently prohibited from having any sort of facial hair. That policy has officially been dropped. Apparently, you can now have a clean-shaven beard.
Clean shave. Supposedly, what Brian Cashman, general manager, told the club was just don't look like Duck Dynasty.
Okay, fair enough. That's a decent bar. I think we can all get to as professional athletes.
And it sounds like Yankees captain Aaron Judge will not grow a beard of any kind. He's going to stay clean shaven. So if the captain's not growing anything, I wonder what that means for the rest of the club. They may follow suit and not do anything either. So we'll see.
I like immediately look to like the bullpen for the guys that are going to grow a beard first.
They're the guys that always have the crazy facial hair.
I always think about the bullpen characters. Yeah,
they're bored. They're bored back there. They don't know what to do.
Yeah,
they only play like once a week back there. They don't know what to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Over on the other side in the AL East, my Red Sox, a little drama. We did sign Alex Bregman, which was great news.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Rafael Devers not taking to the news of potentially moving positions very lightly. He's being a stubborn a-hole and saying he is not moving positions at all. Now, I think he's going to have to anyway because he doesn't really have a choice. But of course, as soon as we get a nice new shiny toy, it has to get ripped up into shreds in the first week by our other star player. So.
Well, look, your star player just signed a massive contract extension a year ago. So why the hell would he want to move? I actually don't blame him. You're bringing in a veteran from the frickin' Astros. Put him somewhere else.
Or Devers, you could just DH and just not even play the field and just be lazy and just be happy making your money there too. But we'll see what happens with the drama as spring training gets going here. Good to have the baseball back in paradise.
All right, let's hashtag always end with food.
Yep. Food content to wrap up this course of life. It's time for the 19th hole here on the podcast. And I've got my eyes set on a new menu item from Wendy's. A Thin Mint Frosty has dropped recently. Have you seen this on the internet streets?
No, because I don't go to fast food burger chains anymore. I haven't
really been going a ton either. But for a dessert like that, I will have a review soon. So check out Always End With Food on Instagram. I'm going to grab one of these here as St. Patrick's Day season gets going and the Girl Scout cookie flavor stuff gets going around this time of year as well, too. I just had my first Girl Scout cookie this past week as well.
Yeah, I'm not. I got my wife got us some Girl Scout cookies, so I got some Thin Mints in the freezer. I don't like mint flavored stuff, but I do love Thin Mints.
Yep, timeless.
I don't know what it is.
They are.
So there you go.
And yeah, my story for you was a couple of spots that our friend Maury Hirsch-Gordon from WHDH in Boston went to recently. He was on a baby moon with him and his wife who were expecting. Exciting for them. So they went to Savannah, went to your city.
Nice.
And it looks like they hit up a couple pretty good spots, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah. Where'd they go?
They went to the Old Pink House, which seemed very familiar to you. Looked very epic as well, too. What's going on there?
It's the Old Pink House is fantastic. We went there last year for an anniversary dinner, and it was incredible. It was slow, which was unfortunate, but the food was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Sometimes the best thing is you got to wait for a little bit. So that was the Old Pink House. And then I saw they also went to some place called Bro Shoes. And the Bro Shoes. Yeah, what's going on there? That looked like another gem as well, too.
Great fried chicken. Amazing. They do a chicken dinner, which is where they take the whole chicken, they fry the thighs, they roast the breasts, and then they use the wings and legs to make chicken salad.
Wow.
And then comes with biscuits and some sauces and pickles and stuff, and it's fantastic.
That's
really
way better than
chicken.
the chicken dinner that we all had growing up. That is way more exciting. So shout out to Maury and the wife for getting to some cool Savannah hotspots. That's a wrap on this week's Course of Life and Always End With Food. We thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
You are never too busy for wholesome meals with HelloFresh. With 50 weekly recipes, customizable to your preferences, you can skip the grocery store and still make easy, affordable meals delivered to your door. For even faster options, try 15-minute meals, prep and bake options, or ready-made meals. Get a free high-protein item for life and up to 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/HelloFresh10free. One per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan.